Hi, teachers. Welcome to Unit 1, Week 1, Day 1 of the Middle School ENL Standalone curriculum. I will be walking you through this curriculum today, the layout of a lesson, and discussing some ideas for how to implement this in your class. So the title of Unit 1 is Building Community, and the focus of Week 1 is All About Me. Each lesson starts with this title slide, talking about what the focus of the week is, what the essential question for the week is, what the text is, what the genre of the text is, and finally the lesson objectives. I want to draw your attention to the speaker's notes, where slides will have some further information for how to implement. For example, in the first slide, there is a link to the teacher's guide. This teacher's guide is also available in the folder where all these lessons are located in Teach Hub. This has some ideas for how to implement tech things that you can use, and so on and so forth. I will get more into that as we move further in the lesson. The lesson continues on with the opening do now routine, which will usually be an image like this, and asking students what they see, what they think, and what they wonder. One way to tackle these lessons is to create a Google document with all of the activities that students will need to do. Another way would be to assign a version of these slides to the students. You will also need to assign the readings to them in Google Classroom, or if you're doing this in person, obviously you can print them out. But many times it will be easiest to make a copy of the slides deck, so you can do that file, make a copy, entire presentation, or selected slides. But when you do make a copy, you should probably delete the speaker's notes in the copy. So moving on from the opening do now is a before reading activity. These vary throughout the week. For this lesson, it's a discussion activity. So this is set up like a Frayer model. So students, as you can see, could type directly on here. Here they will complete the sentence. Here, same thing. And all of this is about their first day of school. Becoming Joey is about the text that they're going to read. It's about a student who is here in the United States from another country, and it is a poem. So moving forward to the text, there is a recording, and there's also a video of students reading the text. So the text is linked right here. It is also a Google Doc in the folder in Teach Hub that says texts and PDFs. For more guidance on how to handle the into the text section, you can look at slide 9 of the teacher's guide. So the way that these text sections go is that first students will listen to a recording. In this case, we also have the video that reads the text. Then they will go through, read the text, respond to the guiding questions that are in the text at the bottom, and finally prepare for the discussion questions. And these discussion questions should be verbal in some way as a class. So if you have a larger class, you can split off into groups if you're teaching virtually. If you have breakout rooms or separate Google Meets links where you can monitor, or if your class is small enough that you can have the entire class participate in the discussion, that's ideal. So you can review the discussion questions with the students, give them some time to prepare their answers. If you want to give them a place here, for example, to type out their answers, if you were assigning the slides, or if you were using a Google document, there would be places for students to, for example, write out what their responses might be in the group discussion. And that wraps up the text part of the lesson. After the text, they will move on to an after the reading activity. For this specific one, it is a closing, kind of summarizing activity. So down here, as you can see, we have the notes for teachers. So this paragraph here is super important because they will be picking it up in the day 5 lesson, which has the project component of the lesson. All of those things are also in the unit map. So if you have questions about where these lessons are going and how they're building off of each other, the unit map is also a great place to look. So this is pretty straightforward. They're using close here to fill in what the summary of the text is, and then sharing about their own lives, which will be picked up in day 5. Finally, moving towards the closing of the lesson. For this specific lesson, you can choose which of these activities you want your students to do to close out the lesson. So either by editing the presentation, putting it on a Google Doc. It should be a writing activity, so they should be writing in some capacity. Please note that on some of the lessons in this unit, it will tell you that you should do this specific one in addition to others. So for example, you must do the connect to the text, for example, because it connects to day 5. As you can see, this lesson does not have that, but please bear in mind that other lessons in the unit may. All right, to wrap up, so students are working with a literary text today, so that's also linked in the very beginning. Lesson objectives have standards on them. So the goal of this lesson is really to get students to think about central idea and to summarize, and they will continue working with this text and these ideas throughout the week. For more information on how to implement these lessons, you can take a look at the teacher's guide in TeachHub. And best of luck implementing this with your class.